Last time on the pendant. Oh well, all is not lost. You know me. Pick it up and carry on. Every glass has got its own life story. I've always believed that. And this little pendant was not meant to be the shape that I had initially planned. So here you see I have straight away picked up a pen and drawn over the top. I'm going to place 2 holes, roughly where I am scribbling, and in those 2 holes will be 2 silver rings, which will still hold the chain, but with a slightly more contemporary look about them. That's all. And on we go. Lots of water. Fearless, never be afraid, never ever be afraid. Turning it over, back and front, gently. This is just a good size, fresh diamond burr. Lots of water. And just gently encouraging the holes from both sides. And now I've already gone all the way through. I have got a little diamond burr that's obviously got diamond all the way down. Rat's tail will do. Anything that's elongated that's got some diamond going down. And all I'm going to do is just even out the insides. Gently does it. I haven't got the speed very high. It's just gentle. Here is a rather old rat's tail, which I'm attempting to saw through the top, very roughly. I have got a really good tool, actually, that I could have used, but I thought, no, most of you are going to have one of these. And this is actually a really old one. It's so worn down. In actual fact, I should have taken a newer one, which is much longer. But as you can see, all I'm doing is sawing slowly and gently from either side, just to remove this piece. And of course then it's still going to look pretty rough and ready on the top. So what I then did, which I won't be showing you, is I did take it back to the grinder and ground the edge off and made it nice and neat. Here you can see I got a little bit fed up with the other one and I've gone to a slightly thicker one. It's just whatever I've got lying in the tray, actually. And you know, you can find, as long as it's something skinny like this with diamond all the way down, it's very easy to carve through, with patience, of course. Now, all my film has been sped up, at least most of it is at least 150% of the original speed. I think there's only a couple of bits that are either the original speed or 120, but this one's 150. Now you can see I've ground it down. All you have to do, of course, is get yourself any old diamond and very, very carefully ground down the edges yourself. That way it's quite easy to do. Just not quite as easy as holding up against the grinder that I've got. Anyway, here I have got a white Arkansas. Previous to that, I was using a pink stone. And, I mustn't say Arkansas anymore. I'm trying to learn. My old habit creeping in. The white Arkansas. How's about that? And obviously going very, very fast here. 150% at least, as I say. And this is half toning so that it is ready for me to polish it so that it matches the rest of the pendant. This third episode, when I started editing it, I put it up and it was an hour and 45 minutes long. And I thought, my goodness gracious me. So I've squeezed it down into my usual half an hour. So here I have got one of the very rough rubbers. And I am polishing off the edge, blending it into the side bits that are already polished, just making sure that it all looks like it's flowing together nicely. I can see sort of half a bubble at the top, and I've just left it there. It's pointless trying to do anything about it. It's just half a bubble on the other side floating out the top. That's all right. All meant to be. Here I have got a small white Arkansas, and I am just gently smoothing the edges of the holes, both sides, so that, again, I can polish it a little bit and it will look very, very neat. I wouldn't go too fast, as in I wouldn't run the drill too fast. You really don't need to. And do be careful. When you've got a hole like this, sometimes, if you go into the hole by mistake, your drill will sort of skip and bounce all over the place. So just be extra gentle. Now, you could go all the way into the hole if you wanted and then try and polish out inside the hole with a pencil rubber. But quite frankly, I did do that. I wasn't expecting that. That is so funny. Did I really do that? Okay, I did. Well, I'm surprised I did that, but you can see it flipped a little bit there. You just got to be very gentle with it. Anyway, here I have got my big hard rubber, and I'm going to run it over the top, and it will very nicely polish those edges. And if you turn the angle, it will pick them all up nicely. It's just about the right size for that hole. Not spending too much time. You don't want to make it too hot. It is very effective. And of course, this is lead crystal, so it's lovely and soft, and it is reacting very quickly to whatever burr I put on it. Now, this old thing, it's so funny. This is a cleaner for an old wooden recorder that I had when I was 6 years old. in my first year at school, and we learned the recorder, and goodness knows where that recorder is on the planet today, but that's the cleaner, and I don't know how I've still got it. Right, very small diamond, and I'm starting to play nicely. Even at this point, I still have absolutely no idea how I am finishing this off. I just know roughly what I plan to do, and removing part of the color surface is what I'm doing right now. So I've turned it round. The engraving so far has been on the other side. And in actual fact, I have already engraved a couple of bubbles on this side, you can see, as well. Now it looks white. I'm actually removing possibly not all of the green, but parts of the green just for fun. And I may or may not polish bits of it. As I say, in my mind, I'm just playing it by ear. Just letting it evolve. I know that I want to kind of outline them. So that you can see them coming through and give them some sort of frame. Now you can see there's a little bit of green left on the bottom. You can see what I mean about that. I'm actually enjoying it. The sort of unfolding of it, not knowing what's going to happen. Going slowly and carefully. And being quite bold, because once you've made a mark, that is it. It's there and cannot be changed. Not with this technique. And with these colours, you're sort of stuck with it. You can see my hair moving. Now that is not some kind of fan from behind. That is actually the vacuum of the dust extractor from the front. That's you can tell how strong it is with my hair floating upwards like that. Now these big bubbles I've made with a big diamond, and then some of them I've already polished out with, I think I've already polished them out, with a white Arkansas and then some rubber. The usual story. I'm checking the screen, making sure that you guys can see what's going on. It's funny because when I was editing it, I was trying to do it in quite a hurry and I was zooming through the patches. So where I usually delete quite a lot of unnecessary stuff, I obviously missed that little bit of me peeping at the camera. Oh dear. Just quite a process, the editing of these videos. It takes a long time, but I really do enjoy it, and I am getting a little bit more au fait with the program. As I say, I use Adobe Premiere Pro 2020, and I'm really impressed with what it can do. And I say, I've only really touched the surface. There's so much more that I don't know, but I'll learn as I go along. Now you can see it's quite an interesting story going on with this pendant now. I have designed it, and I am creating it specifically for a member of the royal family in Doha, in Qatar, who, as you know by now, I have just come back from working for this lovely lady. She's the bride. She got married, and I engraved a rather large number of bottles of perfume for her lady guests. And what an epic journey that was. In the midst of COVID, I have never had so many tests in my life. my poor nose and throat, and quarantines and self-isolation when I got home and everything. But anyway, she did so much, and looked after me so well for such a long time. It was just amazing. So I worked at their palace in Doha every day, and absolutely incredible. As you know, I was supposed to have been at the actual wedding, engraving the perfumes live, but because the country's numbers had risen slightly, they took major precautions in the country, and all weddings were banned from a certain date, and they had to bring the wedding forward urgently, while unfortunately I was still sitting in quarantine, and of course that could not be changed. So it worked out fine. She had a lovely wedding still, and then I just engraved all the perfume bottles afterwards, and they put together the most beautiful gifts for all the lady guests and the gents. So everything works out one way or the other in the end, and I got to see and work at the palace for more days, because of course I could spend a little bit more time on the bottles. And so this was one of my gifts to her. I also engraved two lovely crystal champagne flutes, very contemporary, and I put the design of their wedding invitation on the champagne flutes. And their theme had a lot of dots and bubbles, and that's why I have gone for this design for the pendant, because it is very much in line with what they had on the invitation. There we are. You can see how the green has been removed in places. It's quite an interesting effect. And there's the other side as well. Anyway, so as I say, I designed it specifically with their sort of art in mind, their design of their wedding invitation. And if you look at the art in that country, there are a lot of little dots and bubbles and spots and rings and circles and really quite interesting. So I did put some dots around their champagne flutes, bubbles and that floating around the champagne flutes to match the invitation as well. Now at this point I'm looking at this pendant as I'm working on it, and I know that I was suddenly thinking to myself that I had planned this to be worn one way. But as it turns out, it has two completely different characters and can actually be worn either way. How cool is that? I really couldn't tell you which I preferred. I liked both sides, and the way the jump rings will look at the end, it's very simple and very easy just to turn around. You either put your necklace on the one way or you put it on the other way. It's as easy as that. So yeah, rather fun. I had also, while I was in quarantine, because I was in quarantine for a week in Doha, at a different hotel to the final hotel, and I, of course, had all my engraving equipment, and I had brought a couple of bits of glass, and I engraved the bride also a lovely little crystal wine glass, which I covered in very simple flowers and her name in Arabic. There you go. That's looking pretty, isn't it? It's really rather fun. Little diamond burr, just adding some more little dots. I have always been a fan of little dots and bubbles. I really have. I think they add life. Even to a bunch of flowers. You know, you've got your little swirls and flowers and ribbony things, and then throw in a couple of little dots and bubbles, and it's just adds life. Now you can see I'm adding little dots on top of the background big dot, so the big droplet. So it adds a whole 3D element. Now, do I polish them out? I can't remember. Might have polished one or two out. Perhaps I don't polish them out. Here I am going over the outer edges of the larger bubbles with the hard rubber. This hard rubber won't go all the way to the bottom, obviously, because its area space is much wider than those bubbles. But it neatens the edges very well. Now here's another little tool. It's just a little brush burr I've had forever, and all I ever use it for is getting the bits of glass and ink or whatever is lying around stuck inside the engraving. Just wash it out. So now I'm going back over those lines and just making them more prominent. It's quite interesting that, in fact, I do go over parts of them with a white Arkansas. Oh, listen to me, I'm going back to my old habits. A white Arkansas. And but there are parts of them that I looked and I thought, they are tiny little sparkly chippy bits, but hardly anything to be worried about. And I rather liked their effect. And I know I always tell you to get rid of little chippy bits, but these were not quite chippy bits. They were just a little sparkly effect on some of the lines. And I left them. Because I can. Oh dear. I think once I had got all these little outlines in, and it was a case of, do I carry on filling in backgrounds or do I leave them just as outlines? And when I decided to leave them just as outlines, I decided to make them thicker. And here you see I have got the white Arkansas, and I just do parts of the top of the lines like a slight shading. And another thing happened as well, which quite often can happen with this burr, as it started jumping along the line. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but it sort of bounces a little bit, and so the effect is slightly rippled and not smooth. And again, I thought, that's cool, I'll leave it. You know, you can do that. You really can. Sometimes these things happen, they're surprising, and you go, well, that's quite awesome. I like it, I'll leave it. So here I have got a little grub. It happens to be the little green pencil rubber. Brown one would have been fine, whatever. I just happen to have picked the green one up, and I'm just lightly polishing the top bits that I have just run over with the white Arkansas. So from the other side, you will notice that these lines, just where I'm polishing out, are not as bright. So, you know, you really are engraving both sides at the same time. It's fascinating. Here I have got the little grey rubber, which I'm just sort of softening the edges of the white. See, on the other side of the pendant, it's quite the opposite. I have had the bulges sticking out, so I didn't want to outline them. I rather liked them as they were. Now I've turned the pendant over, and I am adding some more bubbles on top of the bigger bubbles. I just love 3D when you've got a flat piece of glass, to be able to work on both sides and create a 3D image is such fun. I think it's a complete waste if you only work on one side. Now, I can't remember if I polished those out either. I think I probably do. my mind was quite frantic with anxiety of just so much to organize before I left for Qatar. I had deadlines and urgent COVID tests to do that had to be within 48 hours of flying, so you've got to get the result out in time. And oh my goodness, the drama, and then not having a clue what it was going to be like when I got there, and I was quite stressed out. So with all this, there we are. That is looking quite nice. Here I have got a green stone, and I'm flattening the top of a relatively new rat's tail. I have a feeling I'm probably going to sign my name. Yes, I am. So I'm just signing. I was told by a collector many years ago, and I've probably mentioned this before, at the Cambridge Glass Fair the one year, and that he said he would like to look for the signature. He does not like to see a signature blasting forth. He wants to be able to look for the signature and find it somewhere. So hence, it's not often you see me signing art glass on the front. I sort of blend it in somewhere on the side, on the back, on the base, and small. Right, I'm polishing out with a white Arkansas some of these big bubbles that I have put on top of the other bubbles, or the other droplets, if you like. You may have noticed my little silver rings are already in. You have to be very gentle because they're quite strong, they're quite big, so they're quite thick. And so you don't want to slip with the tools as you try and put them back together and end up breaking the glass again. So you've got to be quite gentle and careful. And the trick is to open them up and then close them so that they still line up nicely. They are sterling silver, and I, of course, added a nice sterling silver chain. I did say to the bride that obviously she could have the rings taken out or not even taken out and just add a leather thong. I do love the combination of the leather and crystal, and that can also be threaded through the holes and used as around the neck instead of a metal chain. So here I have a little brown rubber pencil rubber. I seem to be going more around the edges than in the middle. Maybe I'm not wanting to polish them out properly. No, I'm now going to go into the middle of the little bubbles, and so I am reshaping the top. And that is just I'm trying to think what it is. I'm not really sure what that stone is. The aluminium oxide or something like that. Oh, I thought I was going into the little bubbles, but I'm not. I'm going over again the top of those droplets, the outline. Of course, they wear down very quickly. Just reintroducing a little bit of an outline just on that edge. I decided it needed it. This is the original side that I expected to be the front. What I'm engraving on now, I intended to be the back, but as I say, either way will be fun. There's the name, out of focus. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that. Until the next time, bye for now.